What BTS said about Jungkook. Part 3, Namjoon and Yoongi. When people look at Jungkook today, they see perfection, flawless vocals, powerful dance, unshakable stage presence. But what they don't always see is the pain it took to build that discipline. RM once said in Break the Silence, 2020, Jungkook used to be so shy, but he learned how to turn fear into strength. It wasn't something that happened overnight. It was years of quiet persistence, the kind of growth that comes from falling, failing, and getting back up. Suga, on the other hand, saw Jungkook's transformation through silence. In Burn the Stage, Suga said, Jungkook used to rely on us, but now we rely on him. He wasn't talking about skill. He was talking about energy, the quiet strength that Jungkook carries wherever he goes. Suga once revealed that during the hardest years, when the group faced burnout and self-doubt, Jungkook was the one who kept showing up first at the studio. He didn't need to say anything. He just worked. And that reminded everyone else why they started. In a Weverse moment, Suga shared, when I see Jungkook now, I realize he's someone who learned to endure. He doesn't complain. He just keeps walking forward. And coming from Suga himself, a man who has lived through his own pain, those words carried weight. When Jungkook joined BTS at 15, he was just a boy who wanted to sing. RM saw something in him, that spark that even Jungkook didn't recognize yet. In a 2018 interview, RM said, Jungkook doesn't talk much about his pain, but you can feel it in how hard he pushes himself. He added, sometimes I wish he'd take it easy. But that's who he is. He turns pain into focus. Namjoon later shared, I used to tell him, you don't have to be perfect. You just need to keep showing up. Because he knew perfection would come, but only if Jungkook learned how to keep going when it hurt. During their early tours, RM often found Jungkook practicing alone at dawn, practicing and singing until his voice cracked, dancing until his body shook. When RM told him to rest, Jungkook would simply smile and say, Hyung, I'll sleep after I get this right. That was the beginning of his discipline, the kind that doesn't come from pressure, but from purpose. RM once described Jungkook as the foundation of our team. He said, when we're tired or uncertain, we look at Jungkook and we remember what effort looks like. Even during Jungkook's solo journey, RM and Suga were his quiet supporters. When 7 topped charts worldwide, RM wrote, you did it, Golden Maknae, and Suga simply commented, as expected. Few words, but full of pride. Behind the leader's calm and the rapper's composure. They both know Jungkook's success isn't luck. It's the result of every night he spent chasing improvement. Every bruise, every note sung until it hurt. Every time he chose discipline over comfort. In one Run BTS episode, Suga joked Jungkook's motto should be, work, eat, repeat. The others laughed. But then he smiled and added softly, that's why he's our Jungkook. RM once said, the world sees his talent, but we see his effort. And that's what we're proud of. What people don't always see is how deeply RM and Suga have watched Jungkook grow. From the shy 15-year-old trainee to the global force he is today. Suga once mentioned that Jungkook was the kind of person who never complained, even during the hardest rehearsals. He noticed how Jungkook would practice alone after everyone left, repeating the same line, the same movement, until he felt it was good enough. A standard that was always higher for himself than anyone else set for him. RM once said, Jungkook is the youngest, but sometimes he's the one who gives us strength. And it wasn't a compliment. It was something he meant with his whole heart. Even during tours, they watched Jungkook push his limits, sometimes too far. And they were the ones who quietly stood behind him, making sure he didn't fall. Because, to them, Jungkook wasn't just the main vocalist. He was the sibling they grew up with, the younger brother they wanted to protect, the boy who became someone extraordinary right in front of their eyes. And that's what defines Jungkook. Not just the golden voice, not just the flawless dancer, but the heart that refuses to give up. Because pain didn't break him, it became his teacher. And from that pain, Jungkook built something unshakable. Discipline, purpose, and the strength to shine no matter what.